Morning to you, and thank you so much for keeping it for our breakfast. Like Shirugungaro said this morning, we are hosting CORD luminary and CORD leader, former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, who is here with us in studio. Sir, thank you so much for taking time to come. Maybe the first question would be, we're going to play a clip out of, you have been at the forefront for leading to the Devolution Cabinet Secretary, Anne Waiguru, saying that she should step aside. And yesterday she was on the big question, so we're just going to play what she had to say, and then we'll give you a chance to respond to the same.
There have been calls for you to step aside. We haven't heard from you about that, responding to that yet. Are you going to step aside? Has that crossed your mind? You've had people talk about that?
Okay. Hussein, people don't step aside because they've been asked to step aside by people in the streets. What happened is that I am the whistleblower on a fraud that was attempted at NYS. How that then is turned around to ask the whistleblower to step aside is something that personally I have not been able to put my mind around. And so if you ask me concerning that issue, basically the issue is that it has absolutely nothing to do with me. We were the ones who actually called the CID to investigate an attempted fraud on an NYS, and for that you cannot ask a minister to step aside. You cannot say that you step aside because there is corruption in your ministry. You cannot actually guarantee that there can be an institution that would be completely without any level of impropriety. And if you say that the head steps aside just because there's impropriety, not necessarily whether they have done anything about it or whether they participated in it, I mean, I think that would be completely missing the point.
I'm sure you've heard many people talking, especially the opposition. And of course, this again, coming back to the bar, like you said, the president said about integrity issues, why State House needed to talk about you. In fact, they are saying State House was defending Anne Waiguru. And some have actually gone as far as to ask, do you really have the president's ear?
Hussein, I'm a cabinet secretary, right? And being a cabinet secretary, you consult with the president on a daily basis, just like my colleagues do. And so, I mean, if you say then that we speak to the president and have his ear, I guess all of us as cabinet secretaries have his ear.
Right. Okay, I'll leave it at that. But as much as I've just asked that, you've also heard, I'm sure, that you're the first among equals. I'm sure you've had such people saying that. You're a prime minister of sorts. Like all the ministers look up to you. You're a super minister. In fact, that is the word that has been used.
I don't think so. Do I look like one? I don't think so.
It's not for me to say, really.
No, not at all. I mean, I think in this kind of the kind of job that I do, you are bound to get people who like you, and then you have people who don't like you. And those who don't.
Right. So that's what Anne Waiguru had to say, the Devolution CS. What is your response to that?
Well, let it be known that we really have nothing against Anne Waiguru as an individual. We are basically talking about processes and precedents which have been created. Now, when the president announced that he was taking corruption head-on and tabled the list of shame in Parliament, he asked anybody else whose name was on that list to step aside so that they could be investigated. Okay? Now, so following that, it's only logical that because this matter is being investigated, that this minister should step aside. We are not really being personal about it. We're just talking about treating everybody equally, you see, because allegations are very serious indeed. That's the reason why you said so. You have ministers who have now been out for over 60 days. Up to now, nothing has been said about their cases. No evidence has been brought about. The other minister, Charity Ngilu, who stepped aside, there has been no corruption charge against her.
Yes.
Only that she was blocking investigations. So you then ask yourself, is the president serious about the so-called war against corruption? Or is it just victimizing the few people that he doesn't like?
So you still hold the view that Anne Waiguru should step aside?
Certainly. You know that Parliament, actually, the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament has written to the Controller and Auditor General, asking the Auditor General to institute investigations into the very serious allegations which have been made regarding procurement in the National Youth Service Department. And even yesterday you saw that Madam Waiguru admitted that yes, there was an attempted fraud, that password was somehow stolen. But then what was actually strange was he said that about 136 million was genuine. How does it become genuine when it is part of the password that was stolen, part of the attempted fraud? I mean, that actually beats any kind of logic at all. So let the people wait for investigations which are going to come out of the forensic audit instituted by the Controller and Auditor General. But because, therefore, this ministry is under investigations, now it is important that some of precedent is followed, just like other ministers who were asked to step aside. In my view, this is one of those cases where a minister should step aside to facilitate comprehensive investigation.
Now, there are leaders, some members of parliament who have been allied to court, who have made two allegations, and we'll just start with one of them. One is that they feel that Anne Waiguru is being treated special, like a special minister, like the State House coming to defend her. That is according to them. What is your view on this? Do you feel that she's getting some sort of special treatment?
No, I really don't think so. I really don't want to be that personal. I'm only saying that there's a president created by the president himself, and that he should treat all his ministers equally. That is what the people are actually asking for.
All right. In the NYS also there have been other claims as well that that the president and the government is using NYS to woo certain areas and gain some sort of political mileage. And we saw also some wrangles just recently, that what happened in Kibera, for example, that sort of wrangling. Do you think that NYS, as alleged, is being used to gain some sort of political mileage?
No, you know, if you look at the strategic plan, which was supposedly prepared by my friend Mutai Nguni, and you look at the amendments to the Act itself, it is actually illegal. For example, to say that NYS can be used as a paramilitary institution, that in case of civil unrest or state of emergency and so on, the president has the powers to draft them into the military so that they perform military activities. That is unconstitutional, because the NYS is not one of the security agencies of government. And in order to transform them to be such, you need to actually amend the Constitution, because the Constitution clearly spelled out which institutions are security institutions. NYS is not one of them. But it is being transformed into that kind of force illegally. And therefore we think that this ought to change.
But is it being used, you know, to gain some sort of political mileage, sorry, in your view?
No, I mean, to be engaged in other social activities, that is fine. In my view, there's nothing wrong in doing that. For example, cleaning streets, clearing drainages, and so on and so forth. That, in my view, does not threaten political stability of the country. That, in fact, is making them useful. So I really have no issues with that at all.
Now, recently you were with the president in Kisumu, and we were seen exchanging some pleasantries. Do you think, and then after that, of course, the leaders, the Jacobo Midiwas and Oburu, the nominating member of Parliament Oburu Odinga, still almost negating what looked like a cooling of political tones. Do you think that the political temperatures in this country, in terms of the back and forth between your camp and the president, need to be cooled down?
Well, you know, we don't need to put the country in a state of war or politically. We need to dialogue. And that really is the reason why we were calling for dialogue with the Jubilee. So that we don't talk at each other, but we talk to each other. Like when I was with the President, we were able to share a lot of ideas, certain things that I've been meaning to discuss with him for a long time, but we never had the opportunity. That, of course, does not mean that there are no differences. You see, the work of the opposition is to be constructive in your criticism of the establishment. And the establishment should also give you space to be able to do so. Like, for example, when you look at what transpired yesterday in Parliament, it was very unfortunate. Because when the minister came to the committee, she should have been given a chance to respond to some of the allegations which are being made. But you see, those other MPs went and packed the committee room like a pack of Doberman pinchers, ready to bite at anybody who says something that they did not like.
But to be fair, the sort of what happened yesterday was led by Opio and I and Nuburu Onyinga. You know, they had that bit exchange as well. So those are members from your camp.
In my view, they wanted to raise certain questions which have been raised in the media against this minister, so that she was given an opportunity to respond. But her supporters did not allow that to happen. Her supporters were so worked up that they would not allow anybody to make a point. And that is not, in my view, civilized dialogue. Even if you support Waiguru, allow her, because she's a very competent minister, by the way, to respond to allegations which have been made against her. But you're not doing her justice when you are not even allowing questions to be asked. You're not doing justice to her, because those questions still will remain lingering long after the interview is over. So I think that those members of parliament behaved seriously, and they owe this nation an apology.
This is both. This is from CORD and Jubilee, because there were a mix of them.
Yes. Yes. Certainly, because there were also some CORD members who were supporting her.
Yes.
Likewise. So they all were really totally out of order. Yes.
All right. Let's talk about also another thing that has also been in the media recently in terms of the question of the Western Bloc of politics, where we've seen a lot of forays being made by the president and his deputy to that region, and they're also meeting and coming together. Do you fear that the Western Bloc is getting away from you?
Nothing of the sort. I mean, look at it this way. Every government has a responsibility to do development. That is why they campaigned. They had a campaign platform, promises that they made to the people. If when we get into power, we will do this in agriculture, we'll do this in terms of industries, we'll do this in terms of roads, and so on. And they are the ones who are now in power. They're the ones with the resources to do those developments. So this should not be given as if it is charity to the people. Maybe, for example, they promised that they would revive Mumias when they came to power. They would revive pan paper in Webuye. They would tarmac certain roads, or the ones which have already been started by the Grand Coalition government, that they would continue those ones. Some of those roads have stalled. Now we are 2.5 years down the road. Mumias is still in that kind of state of affairs. The Buye pan paper is still asleep. So if they go there to bring 1 billion shilling check, it should not be as if it is they are being generous to the people. They are doing what they should do, and they should have done it yesterday. So you see, when people now go and say, oh, now the government is doing so good for us, we are now grateful, we will think twice next time, it is not right. That is corrupting the political process. We ourselves wanted these Mumias to be revived much longer, much earlier. If we had been in power ourselves, we would have started it much earlier. And 1 billion shillings, in my view, is peanuts. And then 2 billion as a rights issue. People don't really understand. The government should actually have given this money as a loan to farmers, so that farmers could use it to buy shares in Mumias. And then that could then be deducted from the cane deliveries when the factory is operational. So note that the government is upping its own stake in Mumias at this moment in time. The government should divest. The money that is put in there should be transferred to farmers to help farmers to acquire more shares in that plant. Now, I do not feel threatened being an inch about what is happening, because we are part and parcel of Western Kenya. When they're talking about us, I'm part of them. So I'm not excluded. We're very much together. ODM cannot do much more because we're not the government today. We're in the opposition. What we can do is basically to press the government to do what they were elected to do. Because the people from Western Kenya pay taxes. They pay taxes like every other Kenyan. So any support to institutions in that region should not be seen as if it is charity that is being given to them. They are just getting their due in terms of development in the country.
Right, then we're going to ask, we're going to come to some of the questions that people have asked, but just one more question, because this has also been in the media, at least the past week also, in terms of the deputy president was in Bondo, your home turf, and basically said almost like ambia kwamba si mimi ndo nilikuwa napigana na yeye, tulikuwa napigana na Kalonzo, and he made some sort of swipes, if you like, at Kalonzo, and that is Kalonzo Musyoka, the CORD luminary as well. The question is, do you think Kalonzo is a weak link in CORD?
Certainly not. Kalonzo Musyoka is a man of integrity, and you can even see him when he talks and so on. He is a man who acts with conviction, because all of them were under Nyayo, you must understand. But then there were people who were forced by circumstances to play the roles they were playing in that regime. So, but since that time, Kalonzo has come out very clearly and to stand with the people of Kenya in many issues. And when he talks, you can see that he's talking with conviction, that he really desires to see a better Kenya in the future. So I think it's very unfair for the deputy president to try to demean the role Mr. Kalonzo is playing today. I don't think that they're in the same league, because if you're in a situation where any other scandal that comes out, your name is mentioned there, your neighbor in terms of land in your farm is taking you to court that you have grabbed his land and so on and so forth, then there's certainly something that is wrong. And that's why we've been telling the president that, look, don't cheat the people of this country that you're fighting corruption, because the high priest of corruption is sitting just next to you. You should be worried, because Kenyans ultimately are going to judge you. Look at what you're going to leave in this country as a legacy. What legacy do you want to leave? When we were there with Kibaki, we were very concerned about a legacy that we wanted to leave. So I don't think that it is right each time to try to throw back or make a counter allegation. Somebody says, you've done this, then I say, but you have also done this. That's the Jubilee style. If you say you are corrupt, oh, you also are involved with this. They're going to mention, oh, this and that. I say, 2 rounds don't make a right. So deal with the issues which have been raised, because they are pertinent issues. Don't try to pass the buck.
All right. And finally, somebody is asking, we'll take the final question here. Somebody is just asking because of time. Ask the former Prime Minister to show or his 20+ years as Member of Parliament for Kibra. This, of course, tied to, that is Kahini from Nairobi, tied to the criticism of apparently NYS as well. And also somebody was asked about your daughter Rosemary. Are you grooming her to take that seat?
Well, that is not a new question. 20 years. What they are forgetting is that most of that time I was in the opposition for the 20 years. I was not in government. It's only the last few years that I was in government. And I started the slum upgrading program in Kibera. If you go next to Langata Women Prison, you'll find high-rise building there. People are living there who are moved from Lansaba, which was phase 1 of slum upgrading program. And you'll see high-rise buildings which are lying there empty, which are constructed through my initiative. President Kibaki laid the foundation of Kibera. Okay? We built quite a number of toilets in Kibera. We brought water to Kibera. We did quite a number of things. The people of Kibera know it. So it is not that nothing was done in Kibera. Just taking some tractors to do a road inside Kibera and cleaning the Kibera is nothing, just scratching the surface. But by the way, that the road which is supposed to be done by Jubilee, the construction was started under me. We started it all the way from Mbagathi Road, coming down up to the bridge in Line Sabah. It stalled because the treasury refused to give money. The contractor stayed there for over 6 months and pulled out. And who was the Minister of Finance who refused to give money? They stone. So you see, the Jubilee people did not come from heaven. They are very much part of the Grand Coalition government, holding very important portfolios there. So they must actually bear responsibility for non-delivery of certain services in the country. The Deputy President was Minister for Agriculture, then Minister for Higher Education. The President was Minister for Commerce, then Minister for Finance. So they cannot delink from the failures of Grand Coalition government and only take credit for what was delivered. Okay? As Kibra is a constituency in Kenya. Any Kenyan has a right to vie for positions in Kibra. So, but I don't think or make decisions for my daughter. She's a mature person, and I don't think that she's declared that she wants to run in Kibra. She's only been concerned about the identity cards, that the youth in Kibra don't have ID cards, and she wants to assist them to acquire this, because without ID cards, you cannot get a job. Without ID cards, you cannot access a Wezo Fund or a Youth Enterprise Fund, which the Jubilee government is offering. So she's actually just trying to empower them so that they can be productively engaged in a society. I don't think that amounts to a declaration of candidature for Kibra at all.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much for making time for us. I've been speaking to CORD luminary, former Prime Minister, CORD leader Raila Odinga here on the Power Breakfast show, and he's had a raft of views and made comments to several factors still holding his ground, and that devolution CS Anwar Guru should indeed step aside from investigations. He also mentioned the fact that he wants the president to be more decisive in dealing with corruption as well. So the former Prime Minister is going to VUCA FM. It's going to be hosted by Kevin Mudasya. So for those of you who want to continue and have more questions, and there he goes right there. He's rushing there because he's trying to also beat another deadline as well. So Kevin Mudasya is ready for you, to our VUCA FM listeners. You can continue listening to what the Prime Minister has got to say. And ourselves here, we're moving over to Cheche. Other pertinent questions and other discussions are going to be raised as well by Udwaka Mimo and David Makali. They are going to be hosting Colonel Rasanga, who is the governor of Siaya County. And you can also send in your comments on 2242, and the hashtag to use is Power Breakfast. Good morning.